and see it. Well, there's plenty more on all of the day's news on our website. Do stay with us here on BBC News.
Now on BBC News, the biggest African and international news stories. Focus on Africa.
Live from Nairobi, this is Focus on Africa on BBC News. Our top stories. Niger's military junta remain in power as ECOWAS again threatens military action. We'll be asking today if media freedoms in the country are under threat. Elsewhere, Ghana imposes a 10% tax on gambling and lottery winnings as the government looks to raise cash. Also in the program, as new unemployment figures are released in South Africa, we'll be asking why the youth jobless rate remains stubbornly high. And why do so many new businesses in Africa end up failing? We'll also be trying to find out why in the program. Well, many thanks for joining us. You are watching Focus on Africa. I'm Waihiga Mwaura. Now, the West African Economic and Political Bloc ECOWAS says the region's army chiefs will meet in Ghana later this week to discuss a possible intervention in Niger, where a junta held a coup last month. Now, this meeting had previously been postponed for technical reasons. Meanwhile, Reporters Without Borders are concerned about a lack of freedom of expression of journalists in Niger. According to the organization, the military forces and their supporters have targeted several journalists in a series of threats and arrests. French state-funded international news outlets France 24 and Radio France International RFE have been suspended in the country. Now, earlier on, I spoke to Sadibo Marong, the Sub-Saharan director, and I started by asking him about the challenges that journalists are facing. And we'll have to leave that conversation there. Thank you for joining us there. Human rights defender and Tanzanian lawyer Jebra Kambole joining us from Mbeya. And still to come, what's the secret to starting a new business that doesn't go bust? Well, we'll be seeking some expert advice after this break. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Focus on Africa. Ghana has imposed a new 10% tax on gambling. It affects winnings and is also going to be applied to people who win the lottery. The government insists that this new tax will boost domestic tax revenue. The country is currently in the midst of an economic crisis. Understandably, this move is not particularly popular with people who like to gamble. We want to understand it further, and let's now bring in the chairman of the Gaming Committee of Ghana's Revenue Authority, Thomas Agorso. Thomas, thanks for speaking with us. So first things first, does this new tax apply to all sorts or all forms of gambling? Well, that's all the time we had on the program, but you can find more African stories on the BBC Africa website, and you can get in touch with me and some of the team on social media. I'm at Waihiga Mwaura at BBC Africa. Well, that's it from the program. From me, Waihiga Mwaura, and the rest of the Focus on Africa team, goodbye.
Hello, let's get an update on the global weather over the next couple of days.